Yeah, and we in here. Today is February 2nd, 2023. I'm your host, Larry Sauce, a.k.a. Kid Dynamite. And we got Music Monk ATL, a.k.a. Little Socrates. I'm curious. Did you say it was Groundhog Day?
Man, it's Groundhog Day, man. It's Groundhog Day.
I was thinking it is Black History Month. And, I'm giving you my point of view on Black History Month and whatever.
Damn, I should have got the bill. I did all that. I didn't even get the bill.
It's all good. Somebody come in, we can do something with it. So, Tyre Nichols today. Wow. And it is just so much meat associated with this. I hadn't seen this kind of meat, man, in quite a while, to be honest with you. And I don't even know where to start. However, I will say this, because I wanted to get into this anyway. I've been villainized quite a bit. I'm sure that Monk's been villainized quite a bit.
I don't be paying attention to the detractors.
Okay. And I wanted to address something. In our culture, for whatever reason, and when we get into the Sierra discussion, there's this idea that you can just kind of geofence certain members of our community. Like if you say one thing about something or somebody, and it all correlates to the police officers, because I know some good police officers and I know some that are not good police officers. And so we're going to talk about the ones who are not good police officers. But I think that it's not fair in any way, shape, form, or fashion to say that there are groups of people who are not good and at the same time also have groups that can exclude who you can talk about with regard to those particular matters. And if I'm going to be more specific, I'm going to say this. One of the things I have a problem with before we get into Sierra's take on Jason Whitlock's comments about baby mama culture and it being a detriment. And you can go back and listen to what was said by Jason Whitlock. You don't have to take our word for it. And Sierra said, as a black man, to get on national TV and say something like this is irresponsible. A lot of amazing kids have come from single mothers. For you to also undermine single black women in the midst of this tragedy is so sad. This woman just lost her son. Do better. Okay. Jason Whitlock's response. Appreciate the feedback, Sierra, but at some point we're going to have to deal with the negative impact of baby mama culture. It's destructive and unsustainable. Come up out of denial. What did he say? Come up out of denial. Denial won't fix the problem. Thanks. I think that was a classy and elegant way to respond. Do you think that... I'm not just going to say, hold on. Fuck that shit. Let's just go for it. Okay, check this out, man. I have said things in my lifetime about people that I knew that did bad things. And when I say bad things, I don't mean shit like make a mistake, because everybody makes a mistake. We're not talking about somebody's grumpy in the morning or having an attitude. There's a difference between mistake and malice. Those are two totally different things. And so my point in saying that is to say this. I know the difference between a mistake and somebody being a bad person. And when I say that somebody is a bad person, depending on what subgroup that they belong to, they're just a bad fucking person. Because I dealt with the motherfucker and y'all didn't. And so when people turn around, they come back to me and say, well, you must be talking about your mama. Matter of fact, and I'm just saying to myself, okay, so I'm talking about my dead mother and my own flesh and blood child. Come on, man. No, I'm talking about the motherfucker that did the bullshit that they did. That's what I'm talking about. And then what's worse is that if you flip it around and I say, man, there's some sorry ass men out here, I don't hear nobody coming back saying, you must be talking about your daddy. You must be talking about your brothers. Don't try that shit with me, man. Try that shit with them other weak ass niggas out there. That's who you try that shit with. And then when I hear weak ass niggas running around saying that shit, I know that that's a byproduct of them hearing it from somebody else. All of this rehearsed shit and cliches and people saying shit that rhyme and just pass it along so that you can guilt people into not talking about who the problem is, it ends. Now, you faggot ass niggas can do that shit if you want to. If you want to accept that shit from motherfuckers, if y'all want to accept that shit, that's on y'all. Do not come in my face I'm talking about my mother. If I say something about somebody did some bullshit. If they good, I'm going to call them good. If they bad, I'm going to call them bad. And you're not going to guilt me into it. You're not going to guilt me into not saying something about somebody because they represent a group when the moment that you turn your back, the motherfucker might try to holler at you and they friends with the other motherfucker. It ain't no fucking sister. Get the fuck out of my face with that shit. Because if I get in trouble, you're not going to help me pay no fucking bills. And if you don't like it, I can gladly go through a tutorial on how you can unfriend me. Because you don't know what I've been through. Don't nobody know what I've been through. I know what I'm talking about, and I know who I'm talking about. I say, well, shit, I'm supporting Herschel Walker, this, that, and other. Oh, you don't believe in women's rights. Man, do you know that white women are the largest voting bloc in the United States of America? So I guess they don't care about women's rights neither. Because they all voted Republican. A good large majority of them did. Stop repeating what you hear on fucking CNN and what you hear people say in the community. And if you're a man and you come up to me and you say, your views on women are this, that, and the other, let me tell you something. Do it again. I'm caving your fucking jaw in. I know what I'm talking about and I know what I went through. Now, what you're welcome to do, if you have a question like some people did, you can call me and ask me a question, but you're not going to guilt trip me into saying, oh, I can't say something about a group of people when I wasn't talking about a group of people. I'm talking about the motherfuckers that I'm talking about. And you got people that I ain't talked to in 4-5 motherfucking years that's coming out saying, oh, we're tired of you talking about us. Nigga, I don't even remember your ass. You are the last person I'm even thinking about. I got this many people follow me on this site. This many people follow me. I'm not thinking about you. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the people that did what they did. What Juvenile say in that song? It's a reason niggas be doing what they do. I feel like you feel when somebody playing with you. You don't know what the fuck I done been through, and I done been good to people. And it's more good people than it is bad. But if I want to say something about them, I'm not going to let you guilt me into not saying nothing about them by geofencing a bunch of motherfuckers to keep me silent. And it ain't even really to keep me silent, if you want me to be honest with you. You doing that shit because what you really want to do is, because we have such low accountability, is you don't want other people to be encouraged about calling people out on the bullshit that they own. All right, now, but you're welcome to call me and ask me if you have any questions. I'm an open book. I'll be willing to talk to you about it. Okay, so, any rate, hey, how you doing?
Good about you?
Great. I just had to get that out there.
Salute, my brother.
Yeah. Okay, so, any rate, Jason Whitlock made a statement about the 5 officers and about what happened with Tyre Nichols. And, you know, for what it's worth, I feel like there's a lot of validity to it. 70% raised by single mothers. 70%. That's not a coincidence. That's an epidemic. And
70% of what?
Black babies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just get it all out there.
Sure. Yeah. And we talked about the propensity for them to land in the penitentiary or be dead. And so the reality of things is that, hey, we have had 5 officers. They beat the man. They say he was resisting arrest. I wasn't there. Is there a lack of respect for authority, and is the father tied? The father being able to instill respect for authority, is that tied to it?
Could be. I look at the video. It seemed clear to me he was resisting arrest, but I guess everybody kind of sees what they want to see there. That doesn't mean he deserved to get beaten to death, literally.
I agree with that.
But it definitely seemed like things were excessive there. But it was very clear they were asking the dude to put his hand behind his back. He wouldn't do it, just keeping his arm straight. That's very clear on the video. Whether the other questions what does that have to do with authority? Was he high? Was he? There's all kinds of other things that can kind of intercede in that might not create the type of outcome you would think, the logical outcome, or the outcome that we would all think would be the one that would de-escalate things to make the cops think that they need to beat the dude up. We can't ignore the fact that it's clear as day on the tape that they asked the man, all he had to do was put his hands behind his back. That's what he had to do. Now, look, some people think that had he put his hands behind his back, he would still got beaten, maybe, but we don't know that because he didn't do it. And so, I am all for talking about cops and tactics and, overstepping authority and that sort of stuff, but we can't just ignore the facts on the tape, which I feel like a lot of the commentary I've seen is directly doing that.
Ray Sharp Brooks, same thing. Yeah. I'm just saying nobody thinks that anybody deserves to die. We're black men. We're at the end of the day,
I think Ray Sharp Brooks was much worse. Worse, and his behavior was even worse than Tyre.
Not even to go off on a tangent on Ray Sharp Brooks, because I've spoken ad nauseum about that, and have some spirited conversations with some people who I've known for a long time, and it does, in a lot of ways, it uncovers this general lack of accountability and this automatic assertion that it's always them. No matter what happens, it's always their fault. And who is the they? Who is there? Whoever's around, right? And I'm just going to say this: I learned how to shut the fuck up and comply from my father.
Me too.
Me too.
My dad very specifically told me.
You know what I'm saying?
If I have to come down to that school,
you know what I mean? So
right.
If you don't listen to what your mother said,
or what the teacher says, or
you got 3 black men saying that the father instills a sense of understanding how to respect authority.
So, and to be fair, right? And to be fair, because I feel like a lot of us grew up in this this kind of like a hybrid household, right? Where as we progressively got through, like the 90s and everything, right? Like the way we were raised, there was a little bit of progressive ideals that were injected, which usually came from our mothers, right? And not that our mothers weren't disciplined, but they just, they knew, they could kind of sense something nuance was coming. It was on the horizon, right? So they kind of prepared us a little bit for it, but even then we really couldn't deviate too far, really, because I know for me, the true test came obviously when I got to college, right? Because you're an hour away from home, or however long away you are from home, far away you are, and you're actually out there on a consistent basis without the radius of your parents, right? Without the radius of that guidance. And there were plenty of times when I feel like I always had just that imminent thought, that pressure, that volatility in my mind that let me know, like, man, just shut the fuck up. because you got support. If something happened, don't let it be because your response gave them or was provocative. Because when you shut the fuck up, I actually had to explain this to one of my little bros today. I said, whenever you're in a situation, like say because he's out here dating, and I said, look, he's going to a young lady's house. I said, look, be careful, be mindful, be prepared, put your car a certain area, keep your bag close to you, don't get too comfortable. If you do, or if you get into a situation where a guy is coming after you, or he's being aggressive, like text message wise, just don't respond. Because when you respond, now they got to investigate shit. See my point? Young man Tyre gave an improper response. So now we're investigating, obviously, the totality of his untimely demise, but we're you know what I'm saying? Like it's now there's all of this conjecture. When if he really didn't have anything going on, and we're all in our 40s, I know what the police are capable of, but I don't have that inherent, like as soon as I see him, yeah, I'm like, like my asshole is puckered. Like I'm tight. I can't, like, it's not because I walk around as a capable man that has something to lose. Right. And when you've accomplished things and you've achieved things and you still have a place to go in life, you ain't worried about this fuck shit. As a matter of fact, you do your damnedest to avoid it. I hate the fact that now that I'm in my 40s, like, there's just certain places I just don't want to go. Ask me to go here, I'm not going. I'm not going to Edgewood no more, y'all. Right. I'll drive through during the day. Right. On a Wednesday. I'm not finna be there on a Friday, Saturday night. Not doing it. It's just not my thing. I would rather go to what's the spot over there off of Krog, the little behind the parlor, behind the wall parlor. It's a really, really cool spot. But anyway, I just want to just be in a different environment. But it's all about the decisions. But it starts from multiple men in your life, letting you know the consequences of your reaction. And that's really what we're talking about. We're just talking about him not having a strong foundation of the consequence of his actions. Really, a lot of our brothers and sisters don't. They're highly, highly reactionary, quick to call someone racist, quick to call you this, quick to call you that, quick to call you everything. But just sit there and just listen and be like, sometimes things don't happen to you. Sometimes they actually happen for you. If you take a second and just sit back and be like, hold on, how did I get here? But we never do that. We automatically think that we can just say, oh, well, I ain't do nothing. You know why? Because you had a mother your whole life saying, that boy he ain't do nothing. Leave my baby alone.
Well, shit, the mother don't never do nothing wrong, man. I mean, I'm tired of skating around this shit, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just,
I don't think anybody's skating. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying, like, when you grow up with somebody that never makes a mistake, then you ain't gonna never make no damn mistakes.
Where the bell at, man? What? Damn! I'm
so tired of this shit, man.
Okay, you should have started off with that. You gotta start. If you gonna do that, you gotta start off with that.
Man, I'd rather just line up and mow these motherfuckers over, man. I am so tired of bending and holding my mouth about this stuff, man.
First of all, I'm gonna speak for him. I'm gonna speak for all the brothers that are frustrated. We don't want to mow anyone over. I know words can be misconstrued. Next thing you know, hey, no, that's not it. It's metaphorical. You know what I'm saying? Literally, we just want to get your attention. And we all have various ways and methods of doing that. Some a little bit sharper than others. But hopefully you guys will catch the point that we're trying to poke you with.
Yeah, I mean, and the reality of things is this, is that it doesn't happen in everybody else's community. Whether you have 70% born out of wedlock, and so, I mean, there's a problem with us. It's a problem somewhere. And I'm going to tell you this, for the record, paternal custody is at an all-time high. So I want you to add all that shit together, too.
Also, for the record, I picked up on that Outcast reference.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, and so I'm just saying that it's just when I seen Sierra doing this, oh, you're undermining, single mothers. No, he did not. That's not what he did.
So You've expressed that. I think we have to unpack that and why it's impactful that she's the one that spoke out. Because the Sierra's prayer is a thing, right? Like, they pray that, you know, that the single mother fairy will come down and bless them with a $40 million professional quarterback that will accept their child that is named after the baby father's rap name, and then marry her, and then fawn and dote and simp all over her. And I'm not even necessarily, like, I have no issue with Russell Wilson. I feel like they actually...
Well, I do. He cost us a damn... would have been a decent season if you're a Broncos
Well,
fan.
we got... not we, but y'all got Sean Payton now. He's a quarterback whisperer.
Yeah, well...
He's the new John Gruden.
Well, let's see what he does. You know,
They signed away all the picks to get him and Sean Payton. They actually had to work a deal with New Orleans because he retired under contract.
Oh, really?
So yeah. He retired under contract. Yeah, so I think they gave up two or three more draft picks. Another first rounder. Yeah, I mean they pretty much sold the farm on this. So I hope whatever Sierra doing, besides responding to Jason Whitlock, she need to be over there massaging her man's ego so this nigga can chuck up some let Russ cook. Or hopefully let Sierra cook for us. Is
this the same Sierra that was seen on the album cover with her legs wrapped around 50 Cents?
Yes, this is the same.
Okay,
The stepson name is Future.
We deserve redemption.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But I'm just like, I just get so tired of the lumping. People trying to lump. You can't make a statement about anybody. But again, like I said, if I say, hey man, that nigga over there ain't shit, nobody gonna be like, you must be talking about your daddy.
It's the shoulder that's fucking me up, bro. Like, what the fuck? You got?
Let me do the. Okay, I'm saying. I'm just saying. It doesn't go both ways. You say something bad about you talking about all us, and the ones that got sense know that ain't the case. Because it's more women, you know what? And I'm thankful for those women because there's so many women now that's coming out and they are actually calling this shit for what it is.
Well, you know why? Because
they don't want to be associated with that bullshit.
Well, not only that is that I think it kind of got to a point to where, and I don't know if you all experienced this, but you know, you encounter people and you share your life's experiences. And you start to hear the same rhetoric and responses. It was just like, oh, you need to choose better women, or I'm not like that, or, you know what I'm saying? And I started to say, like, well, at this point, you guys are not really separating yourselves, right? You're saying that, but you're still standing right next to these young ladies. So, and you're not saying anything. So your silence is an act of complicity, right? So now it's like, now they're seeing that the brothers that they were saying, it's like, you can't just say that you're not like them. You got to kind of step away, because if we see you all together, then I'm teaching young men and young women self-preservation, right? So don't put yourself in a situation where you see someone who is obviously reckless with their life. You can tell that they lack character, right? That's not the person that you want to go get out of your bed for at 11 o'clock at night and go help on the side of the road. It sounds harsh, but I would rather have you around as a consistent person of character, regardless of your gender, versus us losing our soldiers and our nurses and our matriarchs and patriarchs because we're out here not understanding. Sometimes the duty is to let people learn their own lessons. Sometimes, you know what? You know when I started running out of gas as a teenager? When I had to walk 5 miles home. It wasn't, my phone was dead. It wasn't nobody to call. And that's what and women started to realize, like, these brothers are cutting off access. The good brothers who are capable are starting to become a lot more discerning with who they give their resources and their help to. We got to start calling this shit out because we're suffering, and everybody's involved, but it's varying degrees.
I can name every major city in the U.S. I know black men, and they all saying the same thing. I just know all of them can't not be shit. I refuse to believe that. I refuse it. And I know too many men who have custody of their children too. So I guess to push it forward, it's good to see you, Dominique. We got to get you a microphone over there. Welcome, sir, thank you for joining.
John, how you doing, sir? Welcome.
Hey, good to meet you. And thank you for coming. Okay, so they're going to jail for murder.
You talking about
the cops?
Hey man, did you hear the conspiracies about allegedly Tyre was dealing with the dude's his girl or something, and they they Omegas and all this stuff, so they're gonna tie in like their hazing incidents that happened in undergrad into all of this because the dude was really young. They're 2 years removed from school.
Oh, wow.
These some young dudes. These dudes are not seasoned veterans. These dudes are like under 25 or right at 25.
I wonder why they were on some, at least as best as I could tell, some elite, their Scorpion Squad or something like
Scorpion
that.
Squad is very reminiscent of Red Dog.
People. But I'm just saying, like, you would imagine that you would put people who knew what the fuck they were doing in those types of squads and not just young people right out of the academy.
Because if someone shows a level of proficiency in certain areas in the academy, they'll scoop you up. Because
I'm sure they would, but you would think there'd be some senior officer on the site, right?
I'm sure the puppeteer and probably the third, second, and first in command were all veterans, and I think all of the foot soldiers, the ones that's gonna go in there and actually implement and do all that stuff, I feel like those were all the young cats. That's I mean, the Scorpion, it sounds obviously very paramilitary, so that's typically how it goes. Unless you get a cowboy that's just dying to see some action, and he's Chuck Norris or some shit,
Yeah.
I have a quick question. Do y'all see that incident as a staple of white supremacy? I'm sorry. Is it on now? Okay. Do y'all see that incident as example of white supremacy, or do you kind of see it more so relating to gang violence, like what Jason Whitlock said?
It is gang violence.
It's definitely gang violence. But I think one of the things that I paid attention to was the fact that I think that during the trial, I think that they are definitely going to try to tie in the felony hazing charges that I think 2 or 3 of them. I think the one guy, I can't remember, the big forehead dude, got for hazing, where the guy several dudes were like paddled to the point of like, I mean, I don't even want to describe it because I'm trying to figure out how do you sit there and let somebody just do that. Like, fuck these letters, and I'm Greek. You're not about to put me in the hospital, nigga. We finna fight.
There's a saying that when good men do nothing, it's evil enough. Go ahead.
Ooh,
sir.
that's deep. Make sure you mic on.
Is it on?
Just talk.
Okay.
Yeah, just talk.
So I guess one of my questions would Okay. I guess a question I had after listening to Jason Whitlock's comments would be, he really took an attack on the Memphis Police Department's female leadership. He described it as like, the department's being led by a single mother. Do you think this incident is an indictment on her leadership, or is this just something of people going rogue?
Look at
at
South Fulton.
Are we going
with South Fulton? You are familiar with South Fulton? South Fulton is an unnecessary city. South Fulton is really Cascade, Camelton, Sandtown. It's Atlanta. It's Southwest Atlanta. It's the SWATs. It should not fucking be a South Fulton. South Fulton was established. Their city hall is on Fulton Industrial. Make it make sense. When it was established in direct emulation of Milton, with none of Milton's infrastructure, resources, know-how whatsoever, the first thing that was celebrated was the fact that the entire fucking staff was women. Who's in a financial deficit? Who ain't got no county resources? Whose taxes finna go sky high? I'm not finna move to South Fulton. I knew exactly what was about to happen.
It's a 5-year-old city. It's extremely dilapidated.
I mean,
and I want to.
We got the roundabout in New Hope. Well, not we, but I mean, Swatch is my hood. But yeah, we finally got the roundabout that they started building. When in 2014 they started widening the sidewalk down Cameron Road.
Now I want to ask you this because I think that you're on to something.
Right.
Whether you know you're on to it or not.
I just kind of jumped in and took over, but I'm just showing a local correlation between when we do see predominantly women leadership. Unfortunately.
Well, me and him.
Let me just anchor this and say, okay. No, I don't think it's because she's a single one. But go ahead and say your thing.
Okay, so there's a couple different things. Because I don't want this to be an indictment against women, but I will say this: the police chief in, was it Seattle?
Yeah, black woman. Well, during the Chaz Chop thing, you talking about 2020?
resigned.
Because the mayor was on some bullshit. The city council had fucking socialists and far left people in the city council. He's like, fuck this shit. I ain't fuck with y'all no more.
Keisha Lance Bottoms didn't seek a second term.
Because her benefactor decided to run. There was no fucking way she was going to run against him and win.
The police chief was Erica Shields?
By weak leadership.
There's a lot of stuff happening. That's it. But I haven't, as long as I've been an adult, I have not seen a mayor not run for a second term. And I think that sometimes when we start talking about a police state and we start talking about crime, it's a lot because like in Remember Titans where they say attitude reflects leadership, right? And so there was a lot.
Where my mama got that from? I thought you were deep. You done took it from a movie.
That was Julius Campbell, man.
She got me, man.
Yeah,
she said, "Let me get this nigga with his favorite movie."
So I can't say because I don't know her, but it is. I mean, Memphis is a very rough city. And I know that because when they came down here for a big event down here, there's a bunch of dudes in Memphis that started fights with some of the brothers in Atlanta. Much to their detriment, they found themselves in Rice Street, and you definitely outnumber when you get in there, so that's not a good idea. But what I will say is that I think that there is quite a bit of responsibility, and I think that when we start talking about being a police chief, I think that it's hard on anybody. But when we start talking about dealing with black men, I think that there's a very high level of difficulty associated with women disciplining black men. And I'm not saying that it's impossible. There may be some data out there that shows where there's quite a bit of black women who have had success with it. There might be, and I'd have to look into that. But it's different from being a mayor or any type of other executive office. When we start talking about dealing with police officers, and it's a fraternity. I can't see a scenario where, and sometimes it works for the good and the bad. I've been on both sides of it. I've been on the bad side of it, and I've been on the good side of it where particularly a cop knew me when I got pulled over by another cop, and the other cop that knew me was able to say, he good, let him go. Yeah.
So do you think, and I know it's two separate instances, do you think Jason Whitlock's comments have any merit, or do they have any valid points? Because I think with what little truth he does have in his statement is kind of like bogged down by this kind of the sexist kind of like. When he described her leadership, he's like, their department's being led under the, leadership of a single mother. I was like, I didn't understand how that came to kind of lead into it. But so do you guys think he has any merit in regards to that comment and his comments towards Sierra, his response towards Sierra?
I think Sierra was out of line because I don't think that he was undermining single mothers, but go ahead, Mom.
I think the point is that there's still a level, some foundational level, or some fundamental level of like the old day, right? So as a man, when you are married, even in the current day, it's just you're just looked upon just differently. You know what I mean? You're looked upon as though you have added responsibility. There was a woman out there that trusts you with the leadership and future of her life and their family. So you get that benefit of whatever, right? For example, if I wanted to go be a pastor right now, we'd probably be like, you ain't married. You know what I'm saying? Jamal Bryant is a rare case. This is the exception, not the rule. They typically want you to be married because it has a certain, you know what I'm saying, like a certain feel to it. At least the likelihood of him, they can still do it. But I'm just saying, right?
I ain't even gonna comment on him no more. but go ahead.
But I'm just saying, I'm using him as an example, as an exception or whatnot. But my point is that in certain positions, I ain't gonna lie, it kind of does matter. You know what I'm saying? In certain, you know what I'm saying? Just in certain situations. You know what I mean? For example, you know, when we were in education, all of the women that we had, the women who were in positions of leadership, who we had the most problems out of, had no one to go home to. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that there's a correlation or there's not, but I'm just saying from my personal experience, even I heard from women that work with women who have no one to go home to, it's really kind of difficult. There's like a lot going on at the job. Men bring shit to the job too. They do. But I just, you know what I'm saying, it's a lot different when a man, like men, when was the last time a man successfully filed a sexual harassment claim? Just even mentioned it and got somebody fired. Like, it don't happen. Like, a woman has that power, and she can weaponize it very quickly with volatile emotional states.
Well, and even if it doesn't stick, I mean, the stick,
it sticks. Even if you're not convicted, it's still gonna stick.
So one of the things that I was approached with, and I want to say this, there was this term, man, we like to loosely throw around the term matriarchy, you know, and a matriarchal society. And
we gotta say matrifocal, because a matriarch is someone who has a skill set to continue the legacy of a family.
Excuse me.
This is more matrifocal. This ain't no matrifocal.
But one of the things that I was challenged with in my debates with people was about the matriarchal society, and it was about this idea, this notion that we need to have a matrifocal society as opposed to patriarchal, right? And you hear things like toxic masculinity. And I simply just said to people who said it to me, I was like, well, when the water boys were assaulting women, I said, well, why don't y'all go out there and just stop them then? And I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe y'all are built. Maybe, you know, we haven't seen enough Wakanda movies or whatever. I don't know. I mean, but I know this from working at APS. I know there's a difference when I roll up on a 16, 17, 18, or even 19-year-old black man in high school than when a woman does.
So I kind of want to jump in real quick. I definitely do not agree with the matrifocal society, but I do think that we are missing in black community specifically is women setting the standards. I think a lot of the music is setting the standards. You have male rappers writing for these female artists, which are setting the standards of, okay, well, this is how we are going to, or these are the men we're going to entertain, and this is how we're going to treat them. And I don't think that women are setting the standards in our community. They're drastically all over the place. You got some women asking for $650,000 for their man, you know, and then you got women that's for real going like 70-30 because she's with a homosexual. So I think we are really, you know, at a point where women have to come in and speak up.
I have been saying that for the longest. Go ahead, my brother.
I didn't hear Jason Whitlock's statements. So I'm only going on what I heard here, which is that he said that he's implying that the leadership in Memphis is weak because the head of the police department is a single woman. Is that basically what he said?
Yeah, he used the term
or single mother.
Yeah, the department was under the leadership of a single mother. Like, he made note of it like that, and I just felt funny about that.
Yeah, that by itself for me is that is an insufficient support for that point. I think that I do agree with the idea that marriage does prepare you for leadership. And just having something to lose prepares you for leadership, which usually a family is the biggest thing a human being can lose. And so for that reason, I think that there's a lot of harmony between going through the trials and tribulations of managing a relationship, having kids, that sort of thing, and being able to lead other people. Having said that, I knew Erica Shields fairly well, and I don't mean like personally. I meant that when she was at the head of APD, I was the chair of my public safety committee and the chair of the citywide Atlanta Planning Advisory Board public safety committee.
Let me get a shots fired.
And I'm just saying, like I and again that so I'm just telling you like where I'm coming, like the perspective I have on this sort of thing. And I thought she was a very good leader. And I thought that she was out. You talk about. You step into a 16, 17 year, when they were burning up police cars over by the CNN Center, her little ass was right in the middle of it.
I saw that. Yeah.
She was not. She didn't run. She didn't hide.
She got a whole squad. She got a squad with her. She ain't out there on Simpson by herself running up on
I never said that she was.
I mean, I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, I would be real bold too. Like, I got the whole squad behind me.
I mean, I didn't see a whole bunch of dudes like behind her. I mean, literally, she could have got roughed up pretty easily if anyone wanted.
I actually liked Erica Shields.
They got beat down.
I think that she had a problem with the mayor, and she just resigned instead of.
Weak. The mayor was weak. Keisha Lance Bottoms was weak. She could.
When I seen them people outside her house,
she was under the bus.
Yeah,
but to the other point about disciplining men, I mean, police departments are a chain of command. So like Erica Shields ain't disciplining like officers.
It's
like,
the sergeants.
There are people beneath her that are doing that sort of stuff. Yeah. Some of which are women. But for the most part, they are men. And so I don't think that necessarily impacts like the general just in-lineness of the police department. So I mean, I do think that it is, women and men are different. We're not the same. We have a lot of different constitutional attributes. Doesn't mean necessarily that. I mean, but again, to impute, if he's trying to say that like she's all her time is going into her kid because you don't have a man to like split time with, and her
I don't think that's where it's coming from.
Like
I think I know where it's coming from. I think I know.
But I know Jason Whitlock enough to know that like he's appealing to a very old school conservative view about women leading shit.
Get off my lawn.
If we work back,
I don't think that's fair.
Well, okay, if we work backwards from results, all we have to do is let's look at the results. And I think that we could do a comparative analysis of results with the Arab, Asian, Indian, white, Hispanic, Muslim. If you just work backwards from results and in a comparative analysis, if the results were there and we didn't continue to have...
What results are we talking about?
There's too many people. They're not dying out here. They are dying out here with regard to like selling dope and shootouts. But it's too many people dying senselessly from resisting arrest. That is an issue of, in my opinion, that is an issue of... And Killer Mike said this a while back, too, of having a respect for authority.
It's not an issue. It's an issue of not acting a goddamn fool in your community, giving the cops an excuse to be out there every fucking night.
Fight off.
It ain't. I'm just saying, I think that, like, the root cause, and again, the root cause could very well be the same thing for both of these things. It could be that a lack of respect for authority has to do with how we treat one another.
If we brought the teachers union in here, they would probably tell you.
But that's the thing that
drifting away
differentiates our community from these other communities you're talking about. That they ain't acting a damn fool in the streets. Which, like I said, I am totally open to the idea that is because of a lack of fathers in the home. I just want us to make sure that we are calling
right.
A spade.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like let's stay on topic with it. So with his comments with regards to the police chief in Memphis and her being a single mother, I think where he's going, and this is just the junior criminologist in me. Shouts out to West Georgia. I think the fact that she specifically chose 100% her choice to bring a child into the world, knowing that they had just about every, or maybe not, I don't know how you could not know this, but putting your child in a position to be at every major statistical disadvantage growing up. Not to say, I'm looking directly at Sierra because she said lots of wonderful children come from single mothers. It's always the exception and not the rule. And what we're saying is that most of the knuckleheads that we all opine about, even though I did have a conversation with the best producer in the game, JoJo, shouts out, had a conversation with him before the show, and we were just talking about how this is a new wave of young men who are coming from not necessarily upper affluence, but just coming from more stable environments, who are now acquiescing to the woes and throes of that image of hip-hop culture, which is something that Thomas Sowell said. But I think that's where he is going with it. He is saying that if she's willing to make a decision to bring, let's be honest, a bastard baby in the world, now she's in head of law enforcement and she's dealing with a bunch of bastardized children. What kind of results can you really expect? And I think that that's a fair. I'm not saying that I agree with him. I'm just trying to extrapolate maybe a little bit more nuance into what he was saying, because he gets kind of pushed to the side as being a bit of an extremist. So I'm just adding nuance. That's all.
Do we know enough about her, the circumstances of the birth of her child to make that, to impute that?
We don't have to, and the reason why we don't is because there has not been a collective encouragement of that culture to begin with. So now all of a sudden, when we have these, when people are allowed to make their assertions and their assessments based on the lack of accountability and conversation and genuine dialogue, now we want to say the what ifs. Well, do we know this? Well, we have an opportunity, but no one ever comes forward to talk about their deficiencies and their missteps, because can't nobody say nothing. My child is a blessing. I'm giving you the overall. I respect your view and I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I'm giving you this whole other wall of how people are really, really going to break this down. At some point, like he said, we do have to be able to have conversations, and it can't just be, well, when is the right time? Because if you ask them, it's never the right time to discuss it.
Sure,
so that's all I'm saying.
I'm asking a very specific question about a very specific person.
What I'm saying is,
and all I'm saying, you can't say the woman can't lead because you made a bad decision about bringing a child to the world. When you don't know the circumstances, you don't know if the dude left. You don't know any of that shit.
We don't. But if I see, but if I see a bad crash on the interstate, most people are gonna assume that somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like typically you assume the worst when you see certain things. It's a human reaction.
Yes, it's a dumb reaction.
It may or may not be. Young Dolph. Who else? Gangsta. Her city ain't looking too good right now, and she ain't really got up there and offered no real solution that's inspired the folks. So I'm not saying yay or nay. I'm just saying let's watch it play out.
If I was to offer any pushback against that kind of, because I understand what you're saying. Where you're kind of like, it's easy to kind of conflate. I mean, I guess my pushback would be, do you not think the same things could happen under the leadership if it was a male police chief?
Yeah,
not with the same frequency.
Men get excoriated when they fuck up.
Do you know how many?
And if they have, there are. This is not a one-sided indictment. What this is an acknowledgement that there has been a side that has no indictment whatsoever. And when it is, the punitive damage or the punitive actions are very light and limited at best, or at worst.
Right.
So all we're saying is that it can't be where our community is falling apart. It's collapsing in on itself, and we're just trying to have a conversation and say, hey, can you admit that having 4 baby daddies by 4 different dudes is just not good for the community? Can you say using abortion as birth control is not good for the community? We ain't talking about you, we just talking about can you say this? Can you just honestly say? That's like me saying riding my motorcycle every day at 160 miles an hour every day is good.
And
I might get away with it once in a while.
And I want to say,
because can't do it every day.
It shouldn't be coming down on individuals with stereotypical shit.
So I want to. I would like to segue, and we're probably going to have to part 2 this, because this is good. This is really good. I want to say something. I think that, to be fair and honest, it would be equally responsible to say if a man was hosting a class or workshop on proper feminine care, then it should come under the same level of scrutiny in the event that the results were not what they should be. And I'm just saying that to say, because I don't want this to be a scenario where we're saying that women are not incapable of being parents. Crime is crime, and things happen. But I just think it's too many black folks that have died at the hands of merely resisting authority. And if I brought teachers in who taught in the late 80s, early 90s, and are still teaching now, I think that they would probably, would say that there's a difference in how their classrooms were ran when they had fathers there as well. Now, And I think that it just follows them on in life. But I want to get your take on this while we're at it. Okay, so here's the other thing, and I think that me and you talked about this, Dominique. With regard to Al Sharpton, Ben Crump, Kamala Harris, there's another influence there, right? You know, they were at the funeral. And as long as there's a division, then it is literally divide and conquer, right? So how do you feel about that? Do you feel that, because, this was in a church, right? Black men, by and large, in our genre, do not attend church, and it's not because we don't love God, it's because we don't trust the BS, you know. And there's a high level of black female participation in churches. Do you think that the divide and conquer has also led to what we see as leadership and what people believe comes out of the mouth of people standing in pulpits, whether it's the ministers or Al Sharpton, Ben Crump, or Kamala Harris?
I guess I would kind of say, I'm just trying to make sure I'm hearing it clearly. So you're kind of asking like,
not having the man leads to a greater level of susceptibility of the mind of the woman.
I'm trying to, okay, let me see. I think, because when you're talking about the church, you're saying because like it's become so kind of like almost matriarchal in a way, and because, you know, kind of men kind of just kind of gravitated out of there and it's become almost like a female safe space. Are you saying like, is that, has the impact on the church? You can kind of see, are you saying like, is the church impacted by female leadership? Is that what you're asking?
Absolutely not. I'm saying that if they were married or if they were together, then I'm going to be clear about what I'm saying because we don't have a lot of time. I think that they should be together, and I think the man should pick the place of worship. I think that the woman's ear is more susceptible to things and influence, and the reason why is because it's already been said that it is. Additionally, they do go to church with a high level of frequency, a much greater level of frequency than we do, and at the same time, it's not having an impact on the way that they behave and live their lives.
Jamal Bryant had like 7 hoes at the church. 2 of them was like pregnant. That's conjecture. I'm throwing that shit out there. But I know one of them, there was a pregnancy scandal, and he is a notorious philanderer.
I get what you're saying, where you're saying like,
I wouldn't be taking my girl to that church.
In terms of like women kind of, like in the church setting, it's kind of like a, at least in recent years, they've kind of been told what they want to hear, not necessarily the truth. And so I do agree. I think in terms of just like the nuclear family, I do think I guess by faith it should be kind of. I think both parents should kind of like have a.
Do you have any kids?
No, I don't have any kids.
Okay, all right. If you did, let's say you had a son. Oh boy, this is about to get heavy. Okay.
You got 30 seconds. Go.
And I said that I wanted to take your son on a field trip. And then you say, okay, how much does it cost? And then I say, nothing. What would you say?
I say no. I wouldn't trust that. I say no, I wouldn't trust that.
Right. Why wouldn't you trust that?
There's nothing that's free, honestly. I don't believe there's anything.
Because you're a man and you understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There are ministers out here that let's not do it. I ain't gonna do it.
We gonna lighten it up.
Yeah. Okay, Kamala Harris, real quick, and then I'm gonna let y'all do the rest. Kamala Harris went up there yesterday and said in front of all these folks yesterday that she drafted a bill called the co-authored a bill called the George Floyd Policing Act while she was a senator, because Trump was in office and George Floyd died. We all know that. And she said that she demands that Congress pass the George Floyd Policing Act. And she said, Joe will sign it. They passed an Asian hate bill as soon as she got in office. She is an Asian American. And at the same time, for the record, they had a majority in the House, in the Senate, and they had the presidency. Why all of a sudden is it a priority now when they don't have all three branches of government? Y'all go ahead.
I mean, it's a fair point. It's political posturing. I mean, we all know that's all garbage. I mean, I don't even know where we spending time.
But the people were clapping like it was.
The battery might have been low on that.
That's just what they do. I mean, we know that.
Damn, 2023 starting off
They
turned up.
I mean, they was eating like it was the last meal.
Of course, they were posturing. But if they did a fifth grade level of research, they would have known that this could have been passed a long time ago.
No, I'm sure if they did a sixth grade level research, they realized it wouldn't do a damn thing to stop George Floyd from getting killed. But that's a whole other situation.
Right.
But that's usually the case. I mean, usually they draft these laws. A lot of the time, you can't. I mean, you gonna stop a motherfucker from getting high on. Never mind. I ain't even gonna go.
We can't we can't use facts, man. Look, Ace. Nowadays, it's feelings over facts, but here during the conversation, it is facts over feelings, and it's always respect, love, and light. You know what I mean? Appreciate our guests for coming out tonight. We gonna lighten it up a little bit, man. Hey, man, shouts out to Lil Yachty. Let's start here. Go listen to it right now. Shit's fire. East Point smoke some dank.
Old National got the skanks.
Everybody, we out.